On this episode of MythBusters, Adam and Jamie bite the bullet on an all-time classic myth.
I'm told it's only going to hurt a lot.
Do some people tolerate pain better than others?
Ow.
From natural redheads
I am proud to be one of them.
to men versus women, which group has the right stuff?
Those are some tough mothers.
And is swearing really a cure? Or just a curse?
Oh, sweet relief.
Meanwhile, Tori, Grant, and Carrie tackle the myth of ballistic barbecues
Let's torch this thing!
to see if a propane tank that's feeling the heat
We have the best jobs ever! Yeah!
is really a rocket just biding its time.
2, 1.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
Am I missing an eyebrow?
and Jamie Heineman.
Relax. This won't hurt a bit.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
I ate a radio for science.
Joining them, Tori Belleci, Grant Imahara, and Carrie Byron.
It's terrifying!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, a myth for the masochists.
Okay, that's creepy. What are you doing?
Don't you remember when Spock was talking to the lava monks? Okay, never mind. We are doing a whole set of stories specifically about pain.
I've got one. You're a pain in the...
Okay, no, that's not one of the ones we're doing. We have 3 stories. One is that women can stand more pain than men. 2 is that redheads can't stand very much pain at all. And the third, and I think you're gonna like this, is that supposedly cursing increases your ability to withstand pain.
Well, I bleeping love that.
I thought you would.
Now, Adam has more than a passing acquaintance with pain.
Ow, ow, ow.
And here's just a few of his greatest hits. But Adam himself hasn't a clue if his tolerance for pain is any better than the next guy.
We're gonna have to stitch your mouth shut, I think, for this.
Meh, you wish.
So how's this gonna work?
Well, clearly we're gonna have to subject a lot of people to pain in order to test these stories.
I can do that.
While I am sure that you have some fascinating ideas, the fact is that professional scientists have been studying this subject for years, and I think it would behoove us to go to them and ask them what techniques they're using. Because remember, we've got to do this without damaging anybody.
Oh. Okay.
The best man to consult on the subject works at Stanford University. Your aches and spasms are his bread and butter.
Dr. Chu, how is it you know so much about pain?
Well, I'm an anesthesiologist, but I'm also a pain researcher. And I have a lab here at Stanford where I work on discovering new therapies and treatments for pain. In order to do that work, I need to be able to reliably induce pain in my patients.
With Dr. Chu's help, we'll road test 4 kinds of clinical torture to find out the best one for testing the myths. They probably won't cause any real damage.
First up is heat. This little black box here is actually a precisely controllable heater, which soon we will strap to Jamie's arm and increase the heat until he can't stand it anymore. What could be better than that?
Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Jamie's told that his arm will get steadily hotter over the next 60 seconds, or until he can't stand it no more.
So here's the button that you'll press. This goes in your right hand. So either red button will turn off the heat immediately.
Okay.
Abby also requests that he speaks out the instant he first feels real pain.
And that would qualify as pain. Ow.
But this is Jamie we're watching, a man so tough, he occasionally rusts.
So that maxed out.
Well, thank you. That was fun.
So here's the question for our man of steel. Is this what we're shopping for?
I have to say that was quite painful, and it did leave a mark. Whether we want to subject a bunch of people to that, I'm not so sure at this point.
Next up, we'll change lab rats and methods. This one promises pain like you wouldn't believe.
I am about to have capsaicin, which is the primary element in very spicy peppers, injected just under my skin. I'm told it's only going to hurt a lot.
Now, we've already had an excruciating brush with capsaicin when Tori, Grant, and Carrie bravely set out to find a cure for hot, chilly mouth. If capsaicin does that to your tongue, just imagine the pain from a hypodermic injection.
Hi, Adam. Okay, now what I want you to do is not move when I do
Okay.
this, okay?
I
That'll
will
be
not
your
move.
instinct, but do not move. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Ow. Oh, wow.
On a scale of 0 to 10?
God. Okay, maybe a 6. It really feels like I'm being burnt. See, I'm not used to feeling a pain that's not actually causing me damage. So I really want to, like, move and run water on it or something.
Yeah, you wanna see something too to make it worth it, right?
Oh, whoa. On a MythBusters pain scale, this is not quite as bad as getting my tongue pierced.
There you go. Give me a breath in and out.
Especially the fact that it goes away after 10 minutes. But I don't think I'd want to do this to a bunch of test subjects in our shop. I say this is a no-go. Okay. I'm gonna go now.
So while Adam recovers, it's Jamie's turn back in the hot seat.
Next up is electric pain. Soon, a pair of electrodes will be strapped to Jamie's arm, touching his skin, and a current will be run through them. This will irritate his nerves and cause a local pain response, and then, that's not all, then this device, called a von Freiherr, will be poked around the painful area to map the area of sensitivity. If Jamie has any facial expressions at all, this is likely to be thrilling.
Dr. Chu marks the shape of a star on Jamie's left forearm. The plan is to prod him when this is all over to test his sensitivity.
Now, that's pretty.
Okay, Jamie, I'm going to hook you up to this electrical current, and I'm going to let it run for 30 minutes, and then I'll be back.
That's a long time for Jamie to slowly suffer.
Wow, this is kind of like being hooked up to an electric fence for a half hour. It's not excruciating, but it's not very nice.
In due course, Dr. Chu returns to inflict some scientific stabbing.
Well, I have a great idea now of your overall electrical pain threshold and your area of sensitivity, which is what this test was designed to measure.
Okay, so that means we can turn it off now?
So now to the fourth and final torment. We all know that extreme cold can kill. It can also hurt like hell.
Adam's going to be putting his hand all the way down into this ice bath where it's just above freezing. At first it'll feel cold, then he'll feel pain, and then when he just can't stand it anymore, he'll pull his hand out. Now this is called the cold presser test, and it's the oldest and most well-established pain induction technique used in pain research.
The temperature is just above freezing. And the rules are the same as before. Just hang on as long as you can.
Look, it's one thing to read about a technique like immersing your hand in ice water, and quite another to do it. And the most surprising thing, and I guess this shouldn't be surprising to me, is that it hurts. It hurts right away, and it's quite intense.
Adam would like to go the distance, but it's not going to happen.
Nope, here we go. That's it. Ow, that's intense.
Yeah, good job.
Adam lasted just 59 seconds, so we know that it hurts like the devil. After sampling 4 distinct kinds of supervised soreness, all that remains is to choose their poison.
Do you feel more manly now?
A little bit. Shall we recap what we learned at Stanford?
I think we need to throw out chili peppers and electricity because they're designed to test sensitivity, not how much pain you can take.
Okay, that leaves heat and ice.
I'm going with ice because it's been around the longest and it's the most widely used.
Ice it is. Well, let's start by testing whether or not women actually do have a higher pain tolerance than men.
Okay.
So it's gloves off between women and men to see who can outlast the deep freeze. But before we can settle this test of the toughest, the boys need to scratch build a rig that can serve up the pain and cater for comfort. To make the testing more TV friendly, Adam turns a normal kitchen clock into a giant stopwatch.
Now, to operate this clock, I've rigged up a sort of electronic armrest dead man switch. So the moment you put your hand in the ice and rest your arm on the armrest, the clock starts. Then the second you lift your arm out, the clock stops.
Jamie's recirculating pump should ensure the ice water stays at 1 degree Celsius for as long as the testing takes. The chill chair is ready for action.
I like it.
Upstairs, 25 men and 25 women literally have no idea what they're in for. Next up is the accidental rocket that could ruin your next barbecue.
So you're looking excited. What's up?
It's our myth. It's a good one, which kind of reminds me of my childhood.
Okay, hit me.
All right, imagine a garage or a shed is on fire. Inside is a barbecue with a propane tank. It explodes and turns into a rocket, launching 150 feet into the air.
Oh, I've heard of this one. It's very similar to the water heater rocket. The heat causes the pressure inside the tank to build, then there's a catastrophic rupture and sends the tank flying up into the sky.
Wait. This reminds you of your childhood?
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about it. My parents are still a little upset.
Like they said, this isn't the first time we've adapted a pressure vessel, or deliberately set one on fire, or even tried to turn a gas tank into a missile. But if this myth is true, catastrophe could be brewing in your own backyard. The story goes that a propane tank once became a rocket. At its perfect trajectory, hit 150 feet.
Look, I gotta say, I got my doubts about this.
How so?
Propane tanks, just like all of the pressurized vessels, have a pressure relief valve built in. When the pressure gets too high, they simply vent off the excess, thereby averting a catastrophic failure.
Yeah, but what if the fire is so intense that the pressure is building faster inside the tank than the relief valve can dump out?
I suppose it's possible.
Band-Aid the bomb range.
Now, for this myth, we need a burning garage with a propane tank inside of it. Now, since no one's gonna let us burn down a garage, we need to build our own, but we don't have time to build a full-size one, so we're gonna make a miniature one. But we're still gonna build it up to code. It's gonna have studs every 16 inches, it's gonna have 3 walls, a driveway, and a roof. Now that should be plenty of material to burn in order to get this garage hot enough to turn this propane tank into a rocket.
So you're probably wondering, how can a propane tank turn into a rocket? Let me paint the picture. You heat up the tank, the pressure inside builds to a high amount. Enough that the tank ruptures somewhere, hopefully in a small pinhole that forms a nozzle. The gas comes shooting out, it catches fire, and all of that causes thrust that launches the tank up into the air like a rocket.
They're hoping this neat little outhouse will eventually burn at a temperature of over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's almost too pretty to put to the torch, but beauty fades fast around here.
It's Tori's Playhouse! And a magic word for the day is explosions.
Here on the show, we like to say that every day's a good day for an explosion, but some days are definitely better than others.
I thought the dangerous part was gonna be the exploding propane tanks.
You all right?
Oh no.
It's hardly a firm foundation, but the guys know that today, the joys of shed ownership will be fleeting. As a rocket launch site, this will soon be a smoking pile of ashes. Shame, really.
Carrie, I really love these colors. They're very hot for fall, you know.
It's one of the hardest things on MythBusters, and one of the coolest things on MythBusters is you spend so much time on a beautiful build, and then you just obliterate it in seconds. Woo!
They're now ready to install the stunt barbecue and the star of the show.
Hey, don't forget the propane. Came straight from my garage.
But there's still some fuel to add to the fire.
So this kind of looks like a lot of firewood, right? Well, it is. Because what we want is for this fire to burn long and hot.
So they stack the shed with wood and charcoal, 2 common commodities that should catch fire and raise the temperature.
Now, this fire is gonna get so hot that there is a good chance that this tank is gonna explode.
But we want a rocket. And if the relief valve does its job, this could turn out to be nothing more than a backyard bonfire. Then again, one of the great things about MythBusters is that we're so often wrong.
Now, all we have to do is set it on fire. Is this thing gonna burn? Oh yeah, it is. Is it gonna explode? It might. Is it gonna turn into a rocket? I hope so.
After a liberal splash of gasoline,
That ought to do it.
the team shows its flair for setting a fire.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
Let's torch this thing in 3, 2, 1.
Each passing second feels like 10 as they hightail it back to the bunker.
Oh, that thing is going up.
Oh my God.
Okay.
By the time they arrive, the shed's an inferno.
Okay, the flare cam says 302 degrees.
Look at that. It's just all white.
Then, with the temperature passing 800 degrees, the safety valve finally kicks in, doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
There it goes. The relief valve just broke. Look at that. It's like a flamethrower.
So there she blows. And the cylinder didn't move an inch. The valve released the gas pressure faster than the tank could build it up.
The important thing is that the tank did not rupture. There was no explosion, and we saw a jet of fire, but no thrust, which would make a rocket.
So the shed bites the dust, but there's room for improvement.
So this myth is not confirmed under normal circumstances. It looks like we're gonna have to disable the pressure relief valve to get any sort of result.
Maybe we need to go back to the shop, change the circumstances to get one of these tanks to act more like a rocket.
All right.
This myth is called no pain, no gain. Though I must admit, it's often hard to see an upside. Adam and Jamie have settled on their tormentive choice, which is sticking your arm in an ice bath to see who lasts the longest. And the very first contest is men versus women. The volunteers have all been declared fit and healthy. None of them know there's a 3-minute cap on the ice dunk. In fact, they don't even know why they're here.
And now it's time for women versus men, specifically the myth that women have a higher tolerance for pain than men. Why is this interesting? Well, in our society, men are viewed as strong and women are viewed as weak. And wouldn't it be lovely if the reverse were true?
It sure would. And we're about to find out.
Yes, I want you to keep your fingers apart so that they get as cold as possible.
Okay.
And hold your hand still in the bucket.
You don't have to do this. Are you okay with it?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Melissa, commence.
Other than that, the instructions are much like the guys got at Stanford. Sing out when it hurts and pull out when it's all too much.
That's pain.
Okay. You got it?
I got it.
As the seconds tick by, Melissa proves more than a match for the arm-numbing pain.
And you're done.
You're done. We have a 3-minute safety cutoff.
Excellent.
You did amazing. Oh my gosh.
That's a positive start for girls versus guys. But the following females fall way short of that magic mark.
Now be sure to tell us whenever you start to feel pain.
All right, it's starting to hurt.
Okay.
The next 4 contestants are much more like Adam. They all last less than a minute.
Thank you very much.
But some hardy souls have no trouble at all in going the distance.
Okay, that's 3 minutes. Out you go. Good job.
Oh my God.
Good sport. We'll get you warmed up.
While Adam crunches the numbers, our paramedic Sanjay is on hand to check their vitals.
Are you feeling dizzy, lightheaded, anything like that? Any chest pain, shortness of breath? Okay. Continue drying your hand and come with me into this other.
All right.
But how can a simple tub of cold water cause so much discomfort?
So how does ice water cause pain? Well, you have special receptors in your skin called nociceptors, and these are specifically to sense temperature. So when your skin temperature gets low enough, these send a signal to your spinal cord and then to your brain, and this is what you interpret as pain. Now the goal here is to get you to remove your hand before you receive any actual damage.
So the tolerance testing begins for the men. And just like the women, they have no idea that this is a battle of the sexes.
Go ahead. All right, keep your fingers spread. There we go. And tell us when you first experience pain.
For the record, that takes just 15 seconds.
Okay, I got some pain now.
Okay.
Half a minute later, Thomas, who looks as tough as teak, has had enough.
All right then.
Whew.
Hurts, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
In the next 60 minutes, many more men take the 1-degree plunge into pain.
Okay. Excellent.
And some do beat the clock.
And that's it. That's 3 minutes. Excellent.
All right.
Tell by the ice that's stuck to your forearm.
While others just seem doomed from the start.
Okay, now you need to tell us when you first experienced pain.
Yeah, it's already started.
That's pain, okay. Now just stay in there until you can't stand it anymore.
And in almost less time than it takes to spell out the word frostbite.
Okay.
Excellent.
Nicely done.
Watch your step coming off here.
Stephen succumbs to unbearable pain.
Sanjay will take it from here.
Okay, thank you.
Coming in.
Stephen, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks to all those who've rolled up their sleeves for popular science. Adam's done the arithmetic, so we won't keep you waiting on men versus women. The final figures are the average number of seconds they lasted.
Ta-da! We have crunched the numbers from all our test subjects. Would you like to know the result?
Yes.
Okay, here it comes. The result is myth confirmed. Women did, in fact, have a reasonably higher tolerance for pain than men in our study.
I'll be darned.
Ha! In your face, Matt. Oh.
Good.
So the women win out. But Jamie would like to dig deeper.
And specifically, I'm wondering about women that have undergone natural childbirth without painkillers. I mean, they've experienced an awful lot of pain. So I think we need to go back and tease that out of our data. There you go. Perfect.
It's a sentiment echoed by those who should know what it feels like.
I think women probably have a higher pain threshold because they need to endure childbirth.
And you're done. You made it 3 minutes. Hurts, doesn't it?
Yes.
13 of the women we've already tested gave birth without pain-killing drugs. So it's time to review their results.
Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead.
I've given birth 3 times without pain medication, and each time on a pain scale of 1 to 10, the pain was a 10.
It's no real surprise that Kelly's one of the few to get through to the finish.
And you made it to 3 minutes. You can pull your hand out.
Oh, it's 3 minutes?
Yes.
It's now up to Adam to pinpoint the timings of all the natural mothers and gently deliver the data.
What'd you get?
Well, it's quite fascinating. When we separated mothers and non-mothers out from our test subjects, we got some very interesting numbers. Non-mothers came in at 73.8, lower than the average that the men had. And you know what that means?
I think you're going to tell me, aren't you?
I am. And that means mothers came in at a whopping 124, way higher than the average that men had.
Wow, those are some tough mothers.
They are.
So in our pain tolerance test, women beat men by a handy margin. And moms who bore babies without drugs reigned supreme. But there's more to this myth than just sex. And we'll soon see if redheads are truly the world's biggest wimps. Tori, Grant, and Carrie are testing the myth that a superheated propane tank could rupture and take off like a rocket, 150 feet in the air. So far, all they've done is burn down a shed. Now it's time to disable that pesky safety relief valve from an empty tank.
So these propane tanks have a lot of safety features built in, and they don't want you to be able to go in and defeat them. So us professional yahoos have to grind our own tools because this is a non-standard bolt. So I'm gonna take this perfectly good wrench and make it into a custom removal tool.
And that's as much as we're going to show or explain, because trying this yourself is a really bad idea. Suffice it to say that before long, Grant's removed the device and plugged the hole to simulate an old tank with a busted valve.
Gotta say, with this safety valve disabled, I see big boom in our future.
Back on the range, Tori reveals the other major modification in Plan B. Instead of burning a shed, they'll heat their blocked-up tank with a portable propane gas range.
So we're setting up a burner, attaching a 20-foot hard line to that. Then to that, we're going to attach a 200-foot line down the bomb range to our feed tank.
Now, just so we're all crystal clear, this feed tank pumps propane direct to the burner. so the flames stay lit. It's in no way hooked up to our canister rocket, but you can't be too careful.
Okay, that's it.
That's good. Now at the feed tank, we're gonna have a flashback arrestor. So if any chance of a flame coming down the line gets to our feed tank doesn't explode.
In short, they'd prefer it if this tank managed to stay in one piece, while the other one heads for the heavens.
A pressure release valve, which we've dismantled from this particular tank, is there to prevent a key disaster. It's called a BLEVE. Now that's an acronym for Boiling Liquid Expanding Vapor Explosion. A vessel that has a pressurized liquid inside, when it ruptures, can have a catastrophic explosion.
They should get their BLEVE, but Grant doubts he'll witness the launch of a missile.
The problem is we don't know where it's gonna rupture. I think it's just gonna rupture probably on this seam and go wham! I still don't think it's gonna be a rocket.
To find out if he's right, Tori lights up the stovetop.
Here we go.
While Grant pumps the gas.
This could be big.
It could be really big.
It's gonna be a huge fireball.
Or a really awesome rocket.
Yeah, look at the bottom is blackening.
And you can see the blurry heat fog right above it.
10 minutes in, this modified tank looks like it's ready to burst.
Is the tank, does it look like it's getting rounder?
It does.
Yeah, it does, right? Well, that wasn't necessarily a rocket because pieces went that way, 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 that way.
In fact, they went every which way but vertical.
There's a piece right there!
That was, no way!
Glad you're in the bunker, huh?
Holy crap.
The actual blast was so strong, it blew out the flame from the burner. Some of the shards flew 300 feet sideways, but stray bits of metal do not make a rocket.
So this is what's left of our tank, and it's pretty much what I expected to happen. They rupture. However, they rupture in random spots.
We definitely achieved a BLEVE. Our tank ruptured and lost all of its energy all at once, rather than any sort of nozzle-like activity.
What we want is a tiny hole punched through the base to release all the force of the pressurized gas. And if a tank was part rusted in just the right spot, there's a good chance we'd get our rocket.
Oh, I think we could definitely do that. Let's go try it.
All right. So we're back at the shop. Now, before we start weakening these tanks as if they were rusty or old tanks, I need to find out exactly what I'm up against. So what I'm gonna do is cut one of these in half just to find out how thick the wall is, because we wanna cut halfway through the thickness of the wall, not all the way through and puncturing it.
Ever so carefully. Tori splits the empty tank in two, then pulls out the calipers.
Knowing that the base of this tank is 0.083 inches thick, this is where we want to weaken the tank so that this fails before the rest of the tank ruptures and hopefully creates a nozzle through which we get thrust.
So Grant sets the drill to just half that depth, boring a divot to approximate a neglected tank that's part rusted through.
Now it's time to make a rocket.
All right. Yes,
Out on the bomb range, well, at least it's not raining.
Oh, dear.
If this was NASA, they'd call off the launch. But perseverance pays off as the fog soon lifts, and hopes are high for a genuine liftoff.
This should be fun.
For this myth to be confirmed, we're actually going to have to propel that tank 150 feet in the air. That's a 5-gallon tank. That is going to take so much thrust. That's a lot of thrust.
Once again, they'll heat the tank with a propane burner, and the pressure relief valve is blocked off.
Is it good yet?
This will be the ultimate test of a compromised container. Now we're ready to see if a 5-gallon barbecue gas tank can really take flight.
Okay, ready to start.
All right, turn it on. Good. Let's see if we get a rocket.
I think it's going to work this time. I'm feeling really good about this experiment.
Yeah, I feel confident that weakening right on the bottom, it's in the perfect place to form a rocket nozzle.
Whatever happens, it's gonna be spectacular.
But it's clear that they'll have to be patient. After almost 4 minutes, the tank isn't bulging like the last time. Then,
Oh!
I don't think that was a rocket.
That was absolutely not a rocket. It just blew up.
once again, the blast extinguished the burner. It's a splatter spectacular. But the myth remains vertically challenged.
We got a rupture that started from the bottom. It peeled apart the tank, threw it in many different directions, but nothing looked like a rocket.
Hey, Grant, look! I found a piece of the tank.
All the way up there?
Isn't that nuts?
It's another disastrous failure to launch. But the bit that burst first went exactly to plan.
And did you notice where it ruptured? I mean, exactly where we weakened the tank.
Still not a rocket. But you know what, before we give up on the scenario, we used a full tank here. What if the tank in the garage was almost empty?
Another explosion? Okay, I'm in.
Game.
All right.
Grant's theory that less is more might well be the key to unleashing the power of propane. And who can say no to another explosion? So far, Carrie, Grant, and Tori have totally failed to confirm the myth that a barbecue propane tank could fly like a rocket. They've blocked off the relief valve,
Pieces went that way,
then drilled out the bottom to simulate a rusty tank.
I don't think that was a rocket.
But Grant thinks the key to success is to stop way short of filling the tank.
Now, nearly empty propane tank might be the key to creating a rocket. Let me illustrate with this water bottle. Now, the water in here represents the liquid propane. It's incompressible. There's no room for the gas to expand and build up pressure. But if we remove most of that liquid, now we have all of this volume for the gas to expand and build up pressure. And that might be what turns this into a rocket.
I'm having a hard time believing that this is gonna happen after the last few tests. But since we are changing the circumstances just slightly, putting less propane in, we might have a different conclusion.
This time, Carrie does the cooking and the running. No one knows just what's going to happen or when.
It's starting to look like it's swelling a little bit.
Well, it's turned almost completely black. That's when it exploded last time.
Propane rocket. Here we go.
And sooner than Tori expected,
Wait. That was not 150 feet in the air, and it didn't go straight up. It kind of went bing.
All right, but you have to admit, that is the best thing we've seen so far.
in fact, it's the first tank they've seen that shot up like a missile and stayed intact.
We're all incredibly excited right now. I mean, we actually created something that looked like a rocket.
A 60-foot launch is not the 150 they wanted, but it's promising and totally spectacular. You'd be a brave man to call this one busted.
It's totally plausible. I mean, it didn't make it to 150 feet, but it did look like a rocket.
Yeah, this is like a lot of our myths. I mean, we have a bizarre set of circumstances that gives us a totally wild outcome, but we didn't get that 150 feet. I mean, what can we do to make that go 150 feet?
Ooh.
Laughter like that can only mean one thing. They will do whatever it takes to match the myth. At some point, you've probably pondered this yourself. Can some of us tolerate more pain than others?
Be quiet.
So far, it's hardly been a case of damsels in distress. The testing shows women are clearly more stoic than men.
What's next, Adam?
Next is a myth that I take a little personally, and it is that redheads supposedly have a lower tolerance for pain than regular people.
So once again, you get to experience pain for science, huh?
No. I did my duty walking on hot coals, man. I remember it like it was yesterday.
This was the time when the whole team walked the walk on hot coals, and the only one to suffer was our resident redhead. It's a common belief that redheads just can't cope with pain. So, from strawberry blondes to real carrot tops, Adam's assembled a bunch of his brethren.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I've never seen so many of my people in one place at one time. This is crazy. Well, it's like a traveling touring show of Brigadoon.
The rules are exactly the same as for men versus women, and it already seems there's some truth to the rumor.
I hate cold.
Oh, good.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
I've heard that redheads have a lower tolerance of pain, but I don't actually know a large enough sample group to confirm or deny that, so we'll see what happens today.
We sure will.
Done.
Excellent.
As 24 more women
It's ridiculously cold.
Isn't it?
and men
Whenever you're ready. All right.
wave the flag for the Red-Headed Regiment.
Perfect.
I think it is a myth. I think we may feel it faster than other people.
And now it's starting to hurt.
But I think we can stand it just as well, if not better.
And you made it to 3 minutes. Out you come.
Brian's the first of a small batch to challenge the myth that the redheads can't take it.
You made it 3 minutes. Done. And pull your hand out. Excellent work.
Woo.
Have a seat.
But there's still the odd person who doubts her endurance.
I'd rate my tolerance of pain as probably below average because I'm kind of a big baby.
Jane finally hangs on for 90 seconds. As for the rest of the redheads,
excellent work.
They last long enough to make busting this part of the myth a real possibility.
All right, Jamie, it's time for the one I know that you've been waiting for. Redheads versus non-redheads. We crunched the numbers. Do you want to know the result?
Yes.
Okay, here they come. The myth that redheads have a lower tolerance for pain is busted hugely. Look at the redheads. They kicked the butt of everybody else we tested.
Well, those are your peeps. Are you proud?
I am proud to be one of them, yes.
The last launch of the propane gas tank looked close to perfection. They just couldn't manage the mythical 150 feet. So here's the plan. To replicate the results of the myth, Tori builds a 10-foot rocket launcher. He's also come up with a surefire way to punch out the perfect nozzle.
I got a 9mm pistol. It's in a ransom rest and it's pointed at the base of our tank. Now, that ransom rest is connected to a window motor. All I need to do is run that motor, it'll pull the ransom rest lever and fire the gun.
That's a whole new way to shoot a rocket. Back at the range for the very last time, Tori's rig is deployed in a matter of minutes. But the force of the bullet remains a concern.
If we shoot all the way through, making 2 holes, all of that pressure is going to vent out of the second hole. So we selected a small enough caliber handgun to shoot in, but it doesn't come out.
Let's hope they've guessed right.
Now, we've taken everything we've learned from our previous tests and applied it to this last one in order to replicate the results of the myth. I mean, we got one tank to go to 60 feet, but we want our next one to go to 150 feet.
Dude, this is the best pressure tank heating, propane rocket guiding, automatic gun firing rig that we've ever built.
All right, we're ready to load the gun. Do you want to light the flare?
The flares are set to light the flame once Grant turns on the gas. And the gun, safely mounted below the burners, will eventually be fired remotely by Tori.
This is my favorite part, replicating the results.
All right, the gun's loaded, the gun's loaded. We're on our way.
We have the best jobs ever!
As the flames start licking the steel, they figure they've got around about an 8-minute wait.
So we know approximately when we need to set this off, but for some reason, if you see it start to swell, fire, because we know it's going to go any second.
Yeah, right.
By now, they all know the drill, but still, the wait seems endless.
God, whenever we have to wait for something to explode, it seems like time goes really, really slow.
I know, right?
And hopefully that bullet's only gonna go through the bottom and give us a nozzle.
So the watch continues for those telltale signs of imminent tank failure.
You know what?
I think it's round, dude.
All right.
If they wait any longer, the tank might explode. So it's now or never. Firing the gun should breach the bottom and give them their rocket.
In 3, 2, 1.
Brilliant launch, and the suspense leading up to it was just a nail biter.
With a perfect 9mm nozzle and a launch tower, this really was a proper propane rocket. And if the tank had fins to keep its trajectory straight and true, well, who knows?
When you take it back to the original myth, yes, we did not get the 150 feet, but we got something that really looked like a rocket. I think it's still plausible.
I agree. Plausible.
Plausible.
Under the perfect storm of conditions, I think you could get a rocket.
Adam and Jamie have already taken one for the team, then tortured some strangers to find out if some folk cope better with pain.
All right. So what's next?
Well, allow me to demonstrate.
Ow!
Question: did swearing make that hurt less?
I don't know.
Well, that's our next myth. Does swearing increase your tolerance to pain?
Ah!
It's a fair enough question, but testing it out poses obvious problems.
We've cursed on the show before, plenty. But what you may not know is that not only do they bleep the sound of our curses, but often if our mouth is visible during a curse, they blur it so you can't read our lips and see what nasty things are coming out of us. And every time they have to blur it, it costs a lot of money. So I figure I'm gonna do the editors a favor for this myth and actually make a piece of headgear which blurs my mouth for them. Then all they have to do is a bleep, and bleeps are cheap.
Almost no sooner said than done. If all goes to plan, Adam's patent mouthguard should shield the profanities.
All right, here goes the first test. Initiating the curse-proof tool. How about this? Eating. No blurring for the editors.
Given that this setup is all the same, how is this test any different than the others?
For this test, our sample size will be 5, except instead of averaging our data across all 5 test subjects, in this test, each subject will be compared to themselves.
In order to isolate the act of swearing from the act of speaking, our test subjects are going to be repeating a number of non-swear words over and over again while they're undergoing the test.
Carrie, Tori, and Grant are sworn in to make up the 5. Now, this is a test in 2 parts. First, the control, where they pre-select ordinary words to scream out when it hurts.
Okay, there are your words. 5 non-swear words.
First, Grant, and then Carrie, hang on as long as they can.
Donut.
Fudge.
Blueberry.
Sugar?
Schnitzel.
Oh, goodness.
Piston.
But both fall way short of the 3-minute limit.
I think that's it. That's...
Okay, I'm getting tunnel vision. I really can't last that long.
1.
Adam's the next one to chance his arm.
Puppies, kittens, babies, ducklings. Oh, baby hippo.
But again, he can't last more than a minute.
Ah, puppies, puppies, kittens, kittens, baby hippos, babies, ducklings. Ah.
The next man to try to maintain some control is Tori.
In 3, 2, 1. Assist. Ship. Bun. Cocoa. Cutting. Assist. Ship. Gosh dang it, cold.
Tori's jumped the gun with his potty mouth.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I peaked out about 15.
And then he finds out he's in double trouble.
Oh my God, it's completely numb.
Tori, thanks for participating, but unfortunately we have to disqualify you.
Why?
Number one, you actually swore during the test, which is what the test is about, and you weren't supposed to swear. So you're out because of that, and you also lasted past the 3 minutes. It could have been because of the swearing. We don't know.
So I'm done getting tortured, is basically what you're telling me.
Yeah.
But can Jamie do better? We're about to find out.
Fudge! Fish! Mutton! Hassan pepper! My hand feels like it's on fire.
But we all know Jamie's only part human. Sure enough, he muddies the icy waters by going the distance.
If you outlast the first test, that automatically disqualifies you for the second one because there's no improvement to be made. And I did, and so I'm out.
So we need 2 replacements for Jamie and Tori. Staffers Will and Yvette both take the test and qualify to fill out the core. Now for the PG part of the program, as Adam fits Grant with the swear guard.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Go do the test.
All right. See you later.
This will sully Grant's image. But remember, it's all in the name of science.
They start to lose meaning after a while. Oh! Ow! Okay, ow! Ah! Crap.
Will and Yvette continue the blue streak. Then sweet Carrie steps up, primed with words that would shock a longshoreman.
Oh my God!
It actually seems to be working as Carrie goes on to beat the clock. And the last one to hope that his mother's not watching is Adam.
All right, 5 dirty words. Here they come.
Now let's see if some cussing makes Adam last longer.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Oh my God.
Hard to say if the swearing is helping, as Adam pulls out at just under a minute.
There we go. Oh, I gotta stop. Oh.
Once he's tallied the timings, Jamie rolls out the stats on the swearing.
Everybody was on the plus side.
Indeed. And the average increase is 30%.
Wow.
It is incredible. Shouting obscenities compared to non-cuss words
Fish
actually increased on average their tolerance to pain by a whopping 30%. But remember, kids, like we always say, don't try this at home.
Oh, sweet relief.
So where do we stand?
Well, let's go down the list. Number 1, the myth that women have a higher pain tolerance than men.
Turns out to be true.
Yep. Number 2, the myth that redheads have a lower pain tolerance than regular people.
Surprisingly, that's busted.
And finally, the myth that cursing increases one's tolerance for pain.
That would be confirmed.
You know, while experiencing some of that pain may have sucked, I'm actually quite pleased with how definitive our results are.
Well, you know what they say.
What?
No pain, no gain.
On this episode of MythBusters,
oh God, it looks like a murder scene here.
Adam and Jamie take on 2 common cold conundrums.
You'll get cleaned up.
First, they test their limits, finding out if you sneeze at 100 miles per hour.
Whoa, that is nasty.
And over 30 feet.
Oh, it's happening.
Then they investigate if someone else's runny nose
That's funny.
will eventually catch up to you. Meanwhile, Carrie, Grant, and Tori
It put a big gasp, but it didn't cut his head off.
put their necks on the line
Holy mackerel, look at that tornado.
to find out if a tornado can turn glass into a guillotine.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Tornado! Tornado!
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage,
Explosives are funny creatures.
And Jamie Heineman.
Well, there's your problem.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Carrie Byron.
Right tool for the job.
Tori Belleci.
We only have one shot at this.
Grant Imahara.
That was a great result.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
So what do you think? Are we ever going to run out of myths?
No way, dude. We are still finding great material from the most common sources imaginable.
Like what?
The common cold, specifically the sneeze, which supposedly leaves your mouth at 100 miles an hour and can travel up to 30 feet, spreading your germs. I think both of those are claims we could put to the test.
And sneezing's not the only thing you have to worry about. I mean, if you've got a cold, you touch your face, then you touch something else, and before you know it, you got nasal secretions all over the place.
Meaning you could supposedly catch a cold from someone without having any physical contact with them whatsoever. Common cold myths, let's do it.
Okay.
Achoo!
That's 2 feverish fables to tackle. First up, the physics of a sneeze. Does snot really rocket at speeds of 100 miles per hour and spread disease over 30 feet?
Let's start with the sneeze. How do you want to tackle it?
That one's pretty straightforward to me. I mean, a sneeze is supposed to travel at 100 miles an hour. Let's test it by firing up the high-speed camera and using a little math.
What about distance?
Distance is a little tougher. I mean, we're gonna have to be tracking what have to be freaking tiny droplets of liquid up to 30 feet away.
I've got some ideas about that. You worry about inducing a sneeze, and I'll worry about measuring it.
Fair enough. All right.
According to public safety announcements through the ages, the power of the sneeze is potent.
Remember, sneezes can travel at over 100 miles per hour and spread contagion over 30 feet.
But are those formidable figures really true? To find out, first they'll clock the speed of a sneeze on a high-speed camera and then track its distance. So for that, Adam creates a sneeze shooting range.
Oh, hey, check it out.
Wow, I think that's the biggest and fanciest gauge we've made.
Yep, well, 30 feet, supposed distance that a sneeze can travel.
Looks like it ought to be up to snuff.
And speaking of snuff, Adam's got just the stuff.
How are we gonna sneeze? Well, if you remember the sneezing with your eyes open episode, it's actually caused us some real difficulty. However, we have found a foolproof method for this episode, and that is tobacco snuff.
The snuff will work to irritate the mucosa at the back of Adam's nose, which will bring on a semi-autonomous convulsive expulsion of air from the lungs through the nose and mouth. Or a sneeze.
A little snuff for science. There we go. And another one. No! For good measure. Woo! Oh, that is nasty.
Nasty. And captured by the high-speed camera at a stomach-churning 3,000 frames per second.
And that stuff's made to snort, huh?
It is. I have no idea why anyone would do it recreationally.
Well, let's see how fast it went.
Okay.
By counting the number of frames it takes a snot droplet to travel 1 foot, they work out the speed of Adam's sneeze.
Oh, wow. You know what? Watching it go backwards is really pretty sickening. Okay. 51 feet per second times 0.68 equals 35 miles per hour. That's not 100 miles an hour.
That's nowhere close to 100 miles an hour. I should have a go.
All right. Watch for the stash.
35 miles per hour is certainly not the mythical 100. So Jamie steps up. Once again, the snuff squeezes a sneeze, but will it be faster?
Oh, look at that stash. Like Indiana farmland in the breeze, isn't it?
Getting quite poetic here, aren't we?
Well, this is the subject matter. 57 feet per second times 0.68 equals 39 miles per hour.
Still nowhere near 100, huh?
No. You busted out. You beat me in the speed department, but it's nowhere close to the myth. Well, apparently I sneeze at 35 miles per hour, and the Heinemann sneezes at 39 miles per hour. Neither of those is remotely close to 100 miles an hour. So that myth, I think, is pretty busted. Now we're on to distance. Does a sneeze really travel 30 feet? And I think Mr. Heinemann already has some ideas about how to track that.
When Adam sneezes, we need to see how far the stuff that comes out of his nose travels. And so to do that, I'm gonna add this cherry-flavored red kids drink mix to the snuff that he inhales, and when he sneezes, hopefully we'll see little red dots on this lovely strip of white paper.
This time, Adam's sneeze should leave a telltale trail of cherry-colored tracks.
Oh. Oh, it's irritating and sweet and fruity. Oh, it's happening.
Gesundheit. And now to check the distance.
I don't see any red flecks.
Unfortunately, Adam's fruity sneeze hasn't left a mark. But as always, there's a solution.
We have a new plan. The new plan is rather than snort any more colored things, I'm going to go back to the snuff, but just before I sneeze, I'm going to spray some uncut food dye into my mouth. Yeah, that ought to show up.
Adam takes a snort of snuff and a swig of food coloring.
Oh, God, it looks like a murder scene here.
That time around, the sneeze went quite literally with flying colors.
We got one out here at 17 feet. That's not bad.
No, you're halfway there, over halfway. But I think that's about it.
You think that's about it?
Yeah.
I think I need to then try again. We're making modern art as well as some science.
Adam can't leave it at 17 feet. He's going for a second distance attempt, but this time in a less gory blue.
Nice. You're getting a good spread, but you need to work on your distance.
Okay, coach. Well, I'm clearly hitting a hard line at 17 feet. You want to see if you can do better?
With Adam not even reaching 60% of the mythical distance, Jamie's next up for the sneeze gallery, and he'll be sneezing in green.
I think that's all I got.
All right, why don't you go get cleaned up?
Unfortunately, Captain Greenbeard's sneeze also didn't go the distance. And you can't help thinking it has something to do with his mustache.
Nope, looks like Jamie maxed out right here at 13 feet.
I got 13 feet of travel out of my sneeze, and Adam got 17 feet. It's not 30, but it's an awful long ways.
So where does that leave the mythical sneeze?
The myth says that a sneeze could travel up to 30 feet, and our sneezes didn't get anywhere close to that. They got to 17 feet and stopped.
It's still pretty far, but I guess that means...
It's busted.
Yeah.
Next up, a myth that could be a storm in a teacup.
Our next myth is about tornadoes, and it comes directly from the fan site.
What do we got?
All right. So the myth is that during a tornado, glass can get sucked out of a window and travel so fast that if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you get your head cut clean off.
Like a flying guillotine?
Exactly.
This is perfect. Fast flying glass, decapitation. This sounds right up our alley.
Tornado alley, that is. Where are these freaking crickets?
When the tornado alert goes out, the safest place to take shelter is inside a storm cellar. With winds over 200 miles an hour, everyday items can be quickly transformed into lethal projectiles. But could glass whipped up by these winds really turn into a guillotine?
Okay, so what's the plan?
Well, I think first we have to create a human analog neck.
All right, well, why don't we get a pig spine? We'll keep the muscle on it, and then we'll wrap it with its own skin. It'll be just like a human neck. And then we can just take pieces of glass and start throwing them at it.
Well, I guess we gotta start somewhere.
Cool.
Yep, you heard that right. They're going to start by throwing glass at tornado speeds. But that's not as impossible as it sounds.
Now, when you think of tornadoes, you probably think of houses flying through the air, Kansas farm girls and their dogs blowing away. Now, that would be like a Force 4 tornado, up to 200-mile-an-hour winds. But I think you'd be surprised to know how slow tornado winds can actually be. A Force 0 tornado has winds at like 40 miles an hour. Now, that could be comparable to what we could fling our glass at.
Now, in order to test this myth accurately, we need a very human-like neck, because we're not going to be able to use a real human. What I have here is an MRI of a human neck. As you can see, there's skin, trachea, vertebrae, muscle surrounding all of it, and more skin. Now, normally, if we were gonna make a human neck, we would just take a pig spine and cover it in ballistics gel. This time, we're gonna make it way more human-like. She's gonna love this.
Viewers and pigs of a nervous disposition may want to look away now.
Oh, seriously?
This is perfect. Look at this. It's an entire pig's vertebrae with the skin and muscle still intact. I mean, it's practically a neck already.
True enough, but it does need a little surgery. Tori first removes the ribs.
You're gonna clean the saw when you're done, right?
Then the lumbar vertebrae.
Yeah, that's better.
He next trims away the fat.
That's the juice. Here, Carrie. Save that piece for you.
But he does keep the length. After all, a longer neck makes for a bigger target.
All right, the neck's done.
Then it's Carrie's turn to add the outer layer of skin.
Awesome. Ah, yeah. God.
Now, Carrie didn't have to make this neck. I mean, I could have made it easily. However, Carrie has done a lot of mean things in the past. I mean, she's made us jump into the shark-infested waters. This sucks. This sucks so bad. She made us eat hot chilies. She made us drink until we got a hangover. I think I'm never gonna drink again. So let's face it, it's payback time. Payback sucks, doesn't it?
Once Carrie's all sewn up and an 8-pound human-like head is crowned, Neckman is good to go. So, what's the plan?
So our plan is pretty simple. We're gonna take turns flinging panes of glass at Neckman. And this is the glass. It measures 12 inches by 12 inches by 1/8 inch thick. But most importantly, it conforms to the residential building code of houses that are actually in Tornado Alley. Given how sharp this edge is, I think there's a very real possibility that we could sever a neck at throwing speed.
Provided, of course, that they hit it. Starting with Carrie.
Now, I don't know how Carrie's gonna do, but let's just say I've seen her throw before, and I think probably the safest place is gonna be right next to the neck. Sorry, Carrie.
You could say that the team is that glass half empty kind of feeling.
Here we go. That was not anywhere close to the neck.
Holy crap!
With Carrie's backhand misfiring, she switches stance, but gets the same result.
How much glass do we have? Are we gonna need to order some more glass?
The problem here is not just accuracy, it's also speed. Maxing out at a disappointing 30 miles an hour means Carrie's not even reaching a Force 0 tornado. Next to step up to the plate glass, it's Grant.
All right, everybody, take cover. Grant's throwing. I guess you can have a worse shot.
You guys okay? Everybody okay?
Although the accuracy was abysmal, The speed at 50 miles an hour was solid. Now, if he can just get focused.
Whoa, nice shot.
Yeah, nice shot. Still not enough to cut the head off.
It may indeed have been a giant pain in the neck, but a decapitation at 50 miles an hour, it wasn't. So last up to put his neck on the line is Tori.
Now, I like carrying Grant's technique. However, my approach, I'm gonna throw out accuracy. And I'm gonna focus on speed. I'm gonna throw this piece of glass as fast as I can throw it. And if it hits the neck, it hits the neck. Hopefully, if I get it going fast enough and I do hit that neck, we'll see a decapitation.
Foregoing accuracy for speed may seem foolhardy, but on take one,
here we go.
Oh, nice!
Good shot. Correct shot.
That was great.
Tori nails the perfect shot, but the high speed reveals a very imperfect result.
Look at that, you got 68 miles an hour.
And it hit right on the neck. But look at it, the glass just completely shatters. I mean, it was going fast, and we hit it, but it didn't cut the head off.
The Force 1 tornado pane hits dead center, but it's the glass that gives way and not the neck. Meaning with this glass, decapitation is impossible.
As you can see from all the carnage around me, we threw a lot of glass at this creepy dude here. But we did not achieve a decapitation. Now, I think this is for a few reasons. First of all, after looking at the high speed, doing a couple of calculations, it looks like we were throwing the glass at the bottom of the tornado scale, just not fast enough. Secondly, when the glass actually was hitting the guy, it was shattering too easily. So, we're gonna need thicker, stronger glass, and we're gonna need to throw it a lot faster, which means we gotta build a machine.
Stand back, because it's time for some mucus mayhem.
Nasal secretions. The myth that someone who's got a cold is spreading their secretions everywhere, far and wide, and that they're impossible to avoid.
Well, the first thing we need to do is to figure out how to make nasal secretions we can track.
And we need a situation we can track them in.
Okay, well, I guess I need to go talk to an expert about nasal secretions.
I guess you do.
According to the myth, just by being near someone with a runny nose, you'll end up contaminated by their snotty secretions. But can a running nose really scatter snot on more than just its owner? To test that, they'll need a group of party people, a nose running rig, and a nasal secretion substitute. But before they start spreading the snot, Jamie needs to know just how much a running nose really runs.
Come in.
Hello, Doctor.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You too.
Luckily, Dr. Andrea Young is just the person to ask.
So what would you consider a normal rate of flow when you have a cold?
If you think about your sinuses just in general, in terms of the amount of fluid that you could potentially hold, we would expect that that volume would be somewhere in the order of about 60 cc's or 60 milliliters to come out in about an hour.
And how exactly does that 60 mils transfer its viral payload?
Secretions kind of get passed to the hand. That hand then goes into your mouth, into your nose, or into your conjunctiva, or sort of the lining of the eyes, and then again gets brought into your system.
It's exactly that spread that the MythBusters will test. And now Jamie knows how a nose runs.
Now that I have my flow rate, I can build a nasal drip rig to simulate a runny nose. It has to be compact, it has to be very accurate, and I have to be able to conceal it.
And there we are, it's doing it by itself.
Just a syringe and some tubing later, and Jamie has a dribbling drip rig. Now all he needs is a willing volunteer to give it a dry run.
You look totally like you've got a cold just from your mannerisms. You know, like, I don't feel good.
It feels like I've got a cold. It's just as annoying.
Makes me feel like I want to stand apart from you so I don't catch it.
You don't want to get to the red dye. That's what you don't want.
That's funny.
We're about to investigate how far and wide my nasal secretions may travel if I had a cold. Now, I don't have a cold. We're going to achieve my cold by Jamie giving me a mechanical cold, which is a drip rig that will be strapped to my face and slowly dripping a fluorescing fluid.
Jamie has carefully selected a non-toxic fluorescent dye that's invisible to the naked eye, but will glow orange under a black light. To ensure there is no cross-contamination, he first checks the table.
Okay, the space is clean, and I don't see any marks on you. I think we're good to go.
Then Jamie starts the nasal drip and leaves Adam to some modeling.
I'm ready to start constructing. I'll start the timer now.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Remember, they're testing to see if Adam's pseudo-snot will spread far and wide. And after an hour of building, gluing, and wiping, 60 milliliters of fluid has dripped through the nose rig.
Okay, so time's up. We get to see how far your nasal secretions went.
Excellent. All right, let's do it. Da, da, da. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is, wait, look at my face. That's disgusting. Am I like just covered with it?
You are.
The table, the plane, and Adam are lit up like a dance party with a trail of snot or neon dye on everything Adam has touched.
Well, we set out to construct an experiment whereby we could track my nasal secretions, and I have to say, I think we've done stunningly. They seem to have gotten absolutely everywhere. Everything on this table has a little touch of orange on it. That's the name of my cover band, Touch of Orange.
Obviously, Adam's pseudo-snot got everywhere, which is amazing given that it was coming out a tiny droplet at a time. But what does this mean as far as transmitting a cold virus or a flu? Well, to find that out, we've got to introduce people. And so that's what we're going to do next.
Yep, next, the MythBusters will track the spread of snot by partying in the name of science. In a perfect storm of circumstance, could a tornado turn glass into a guillotine? Well, not so far.
Okay, so we're struggling with decapitation big time.
Yeah, I mean, throwing a piece of glass accurately, even at low speeds, is very difficult, and the pieces of glass keep shattering.
Whoa! And it's only gonna get harder as we ramp up the speed, something we actually have to do.
All right, well, what if we try this? What if we take our head and neck, put it on the runway, and then we attach a sheet of glass to a vehicle horizontally, drive at the neck, and then release the glass before it hits the neck?
Yes, and if we drive as fast as we can, like 80 miles per hour, and get a bigger sheet of glass, that extra mass plus that speed should equal an impact at over 300 miles an hour.
I love it, let's do it.
So at the Alameda runway, the team's foregoing the throwing to tackle this myth head on.
You guys ready to see if we can make a tornado?
Let's do it.
But how will a car going at 80 miles per hour represent a 300-mile-an-hour tornado?
Now, the name of this game is kinetic energy. We can't possibly drive at extreme tornado speed, but what we can do is simulate the kinetic energy of a smaller piece of glass flying at those speeds. Using this giant piece of glass. This has a lot more mass. Now, this piece, traveling at only 80 miles per hour, has the same kinetic energy as our smaller piece, traveling at over 300 miles per hour. I call that extreme tornado speed.
Grant's right, and it's over to Carrie to explain why.
Tori's 450-gram pane of glass flung at 70 miles an hour had a kinetic energy of around 220 joules. If that glass had been traveling at an F5 tornado speed of 300 miles an hour, it would have had the energy of over 4,000 joules. Now, because the truck can only drive 80 miles an hour, to get a 4,000 joule hit, you need a heavier piece of glass. So how heavy? 6.5 kilograms. But will that cause a decapitation?
That's one big piece of Tornado Alley code glass. And to put it to work, Tori's built a rig that looks just as lethal as it is.
So this is the Super Tornado Decapitation Rig. So I built this steel structure that we've attached to the truck. On the end of it is a piece of glass being held oh so gently by these foam blocks. When we hit the neck, the styrofoam will break and the glass will act as if it's flying through the air. Now what I need to do is drive towards our neck man as fast as I can and hit that neck so that when we hit that neck, this piece of glass will break away from the truck, hopefully decapitating our man and confirming this myth.
And talking of neck man,
What do you think?
Hey, you guys over here!
Wake up! Wake up!
We
Got the quality merchandise right here.
Buy this
right
pig.
here.
You want some neck heads?
We got the freshest neck heads out here.
Careful viewers will notice not just that Neckman has turned white, but also that he's slimmed down.
All right, so the last neck man we had ended up spoiling, so we had to make a new one. But this one is actually better. This time I made it a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter, so that way it is closer to the size of a human's neck. We still have the skin, we still have the muscle, and we still have the bone. This is a very precise human analog.
With Neckman's neck on the line,
Holy mackerel! Look at that tornado!
some travel cones to mark out Tori's route,
Oh, hello, children. I'm Mr. Safety. I'm here to keep Tori from getting off track.
and an albeit brief truck naming ceremony.
Capitruck.
It's all systems go.
We're ready to start the experiment. We have our pork neck in place, as gruesome as it is. Tori is going to be in the truck with a giant 2x4-foot pane of glass attached to the side. Grant and I are going to be at a safe distance monitoring the results, and we're going to see if high speed and a giant piece of glass can decapitate our pork neck.
Okay, Tori Ballistic, are you ready?
I am in position and ready to go.
You ready?
Ready?
Okay, this is Neckman versus the large piece of glass in 3, 2, 1.
Not wanting the glass to slip loose, Tori gently accelerates up to 80 miles an hour.
Here comes
the tornado!
That's what I was gonna say.
Now is the time I feel compelled to yell, duck!
Whoa! Wow, that was almost no hesitation whatsoever.
That was gruesome. I mean, there was no resistance. The head just came off.
All right, let's check it out.
That was incredible. All I heard was the foot, and I looked back and I saw his head on the ground.
But hey, the rig worked.
Yeah.
It's mission accomplished. A nasty decapitation on the very first run as the glass cuts clean through. But in a MythBusters first, the next step is to ramp the results down.
Now, I can't say that I'm surprised by this, because that amount of energy contained in that glass traveling that fast would be like a super tornado, an incredible tornado, a 300-mile-per-hour plus wind speed tornado. And the thing is, you don't have those kinds of tornadoes every day. So what we're gonna do next is actually go at a slower speed, try the same experiment, this time simulating a more average tornado, and see what we get.
So they're going to rerun this test at 40 miles an hour. And thanks to the marvel of math, we know that the heavy glass going at 40 has the same energy as its smaller counterpart traveling at 150 miles an hour. A high force 2 tornado. But will that be high enough? To find out, Neckman's cousin, Collar Boy, gets his moment in the sun.
You ready?
Ready.
Tori Ballistic,
Are you ready to go at 40 miles per hour? I am in position, ready to go.
okay, this is Neckman versus the big piece of glass at 40 miles per hour. Take it away.
Tornado! Tornado!
Yep, look out, Collar Boy. There's a storm a-coming.
Whoa, what was that?
Wow, look at the trail of destruction.
Oh, we got decapitation, and the glass broke away.
At first glance, it seems like we've reached myth confirmed as head and neck part company. But the high speed tells a different story. It seems that the hair trigger on the glass didn't work cleanly, and that means that some of the car's own momentum may have affected the outcome. For this team of perfectionists, it's just not good enough.
So at this point, we've pretty much confirmed our myth. A pane of glass flying at tornado wind speeds can decapitate someone. We tried flying our pane of glass down the runway at high, extreme tornado wind speed. Got a cool, clean decapitation. Amazing. Then we tried halving that speed at moderate tornado wind speeds, still got a decapitation and shattered all our glass. But we're really bothered by the fact that the glass is not totally dislodging, and I'm thinking that maybe we're getting some extra mass, some extra force, some extra momentum from the truck being attached to that glass. So the next obvious mythbustery step, well, we're gonna go build a robot in the shop.
Yep, they're following that old MythBusters mantra. If in doubt, build a robot. If someone nearby has a runny nose, can they spread their snot to you just by being close? To find out, the MythBusters are throwing a party.
Soon, I will have 6 guests, or as I like to call them, test subjects, having a party with me under test conditions. These conditions are: 3 of my guests are going to behave as germaphobes. 3 of my guests have no idea what's happening. I will be spreading my nasal secretions far and wide while performing a series of normal party-like tasks: cake, toasts, games, what have you. At the end of all of this, we're gonna flick out the lights, turn on the ultraviolet lights, and see how far I've been able to spread my secretions. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get into makeup.
So as not to reveal what's being tested to our guest guinea pigs, special effects artist Danny gives Adam a nose job.
Oh, it's just a little bit restrictive, but not bad. Hell of a lot better than a Band-Aid.
With Adam in the chair, Jamie prepares our 3 germaphobe guests.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you.
So this is how this is gonna work. Adam has a cold, and your job is not to get that cold. You still have to stay here, you can't just leave, but you don't wanna catch his cold.
All right, sounds good.
Gross.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori will try their germaphobe best not to pick up Adam's nasal secretions. However, the control group, the remaining 3 guests, will have no idea Adam is even secreting.
Hello, Pearl, nice to meet you.
Adam just wiped his nose, and now he's shaking hands. That stuff's getting everywhere.
While Jamie tracks the contamination, Adam's rig will drip at exactly the rate a human nose runs, 60 milliliters an hour.
Oh, we're gonna have a fun little party here. Are you guys ready? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of a stuffy nose, but this should all be very cool. We're gonna have some cake, we're gonna have a couple of games, and little, well, not actual champagne, but some bubbly.
Remember, the goal is to find out if Adam will pass on his pseudo-secretions to his guests through the normal activity of a party.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for participating in my little science experiment.
You're a true sport.
And just like any host with a runny nose, Adam's using a handkerchief.
Cake, yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want a big slice or a little slice?
But it soon becomes clear that the same hand he uses to wipe his nose is also passing everything to his guests.
So we're getting some good contact here. We've got him handling the plates, the forks, those are being passed over. With any luck, each one of those has been marked.
Although our trio of germaphobes keep an eye on exactly what Adam's touching, the unprepared guests have no idea what's being passed around.
Okay, it looks like as he's pouring, he's touching them on the shoulder, so each one of those is a mark.
There ain't no party like a MythBusters party.
That's a good roll.
And although the good times and the dice roll,
I definitely lost.
eventually the fun must come to an end.
Thanks again.
Tori.
Celebrating you.
Thank you so much for coming. Really?
But of course, our test subjects are still in the dark. And the moment has come for the big, snotty reveal.
What was going on was that I had a mechanical runny nose. I had a little tube running down the side of my nose, dripping a fluorescing fluid. The goal was to see how far my nasal secretions might travel if I had a cold and who might get those on them. To give you an idea about how much it spread on me alone, normally my skin would not fluoresce under black light. Are you ready?
Adam may look like a radioactive clown, but has he spread his radioactive red snot? First off, the unknowing guest guinea pigs.
Leah, let's see those hands. Hold them up into the light. Oh, yeah.
They all bear the telltale signs of contamination. But what about our germaphobe trio? Despite their best efforts, Grant and Tori couldn't escape the neon.
Grant, let's see those
I
hands.
couldn't avoid shaking your hand.
Tori? Oh, Tori. You got it.
Did we sneak off somewhere?
Tori has even ended up with snot on his face. Carrie, however, is a different story.
I have to confess, I'm actually a germaphobe, so this was not too hard for me, and I am not surprised I did this well.
Nice. Wow, incredible. So how many of us got colds?
I'd say 5 out of the 6 of you have been legitimately exposed with only a 30-minute dinner party and 1 typhoid Mary.
So even though I knew Adam had a fake cold, I was still kind of grossed out by the idea. So I kind of employed all of my usual techniques not to get sick. I didn't touch anything or anywhere that he touched. When he handed me something, I wiped it off with my napkin.
Practiced hygiene fiend Carrie managed to avoid contact. But for her colleagues, social convention made it a lot harder.
He's trying to be this gracious host, and he's filling up my glass, he's handing me pretzels, and I'm trying to be polite and avoid anything that he's touching. But I mean, at a certain point, you can't help it anymore.
Right at the very end of dinner, as we were saying our goodbyes, Adam stuck out his hand, and I had to shake it. And you know what? If someone sticks out their hand, you can't avoid shaking it. And that is where he got me.
With 5 out of 6 guests infected and a dinner table that's more neon than not, where does this leave the myth?
It's really impressive to me that viruses have found the one place on the human body not only capable of producing enough fluid, but doing it in such a way that human hands are inclined to mop that fluid up. And then they can spread themselves and propagate really quickly.
Look around me. Look at how far and wide my secretions have spread to everywhere on this table. Next time you think you've got an innocuous runny nose, think again.
Think again, indeed. But that isn't the end of this snot-spreading saga. When a tornado hits, chances are it's going to do a lot more than ruffle your nerves.
Now, to simulate a tornado, we first started by throwing panes of glass by hand with little success of decapitation. Then we moved on to a giant piece of glass strapped to the side of a car and drove at high speeds into a neck, and we got a decapitation, but we think the momentum of the car added too much to the kinetic energy, really loading the deck on this myth. So now we want some realistic circumstances. We want a small piece of glass flying at moderate tornado speeds to see if even that will get us a decapitation.
So how exactly are we going to accelerate a piece of glass very quickly? Well, the first step is to take a bunch of these caster wheels and flip them upside down like this, so that we have a low-friction surface to slide our glass on. It's like a little conveyor belt for potentially deadly glass. At the end of this line, these 2 tires go on an axle, which is connected to an electric motor. Yeah, that ought to do it. That's going to spin at really high speed. Now, a second set of wheels is going to go on top, and that's going to form a sandwich. You're going to love this. So that when the sheet of glass comes in, the wheels are going to catch it and send it out at tornado speed.
Now, we're hoping that this machine is going to actually help us with our speed and accuracy. But like most of Grant's truly intimidating-looking rigs, we don't know what it's going to do until we do a few tests. So we're going to throw some glass in, see exactly how fast it's going, and make sure it's all going in the right place.
And that glass is going to be twice as thick and twice as heavy as the glass the guys first threw.
All right, calibration test, full power.
That's right, full power.
Let's see how fast this glass flies.
Do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Full power.
And go! Woohoo!
Yes.
Maybe too much power.
Instead of throwing the glass, the machine smashed it to smithereens.
Shoot.
That was awesome.
But a quick nip and tuck, and it's good for take 2.
3, 2, 1.
All right, let's see how fast that one went.
It's scary.
I know a test goes well when I'm terrified.
The machine worked like a charm, flinging the window wannabe at 70 miles per hour. And that means it's Neckman's curtain call.
Chin up, buddy. It's very important. You keep your chin up for this one.
After several tests with our pain in the neck rig, we think we have it dialed in. We have 70 miles an hour and a perfectly flat flight pattern. So now we're gonna bring in the neck and see if we have a decapitation.
All right, this is tornado decapitation. Quarter-inch sheet of glass. Neckman is in position. Motor is full power. We are going for tornado speed.
I'm ready for the next test.
Okay, tornado speed in 3, 2, 1.
Wait.
A direct hit, and Neckman's head's gone AWOL. But it's not all good news.
I know what you're thinking. It worked. You decapitated him with a piece of glass. Actually, we looked at the high speed, and what really happened was the glass hit him right here in the mouth, and it just ripped his head off the neck. There was no cutting through skin, no cutting through muscle, no cutting through bone. This was not a decapitation. So we need to get a new head, reset, and try it again.
A new head? How about this one?
Neckman in position. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right, fire it up.
This time, Neckman's painfully down for the count, but a decapitation, this ain't. So far, the robot is 0 for 2, a record that then takes a turn for the worse, with near misses.
That was so fast, I have no idea what just happened.
And not so near misses.
Man.
I wonder if it's possible to decapitate a guy with glass.
I don't know.
With the final Neckman in the firing line, it really is now or never.
You ready to get your head cut off?
You ready?
Ready.
Ready? All right, fire it up. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I think we've got decapitation.
That is unquestionable.
We did it. We confirmed this myth. We got decapitation. It's incredible to think that a small piece of glass with hardly any mass at all, going only 70 miles an hour, which is a mild tornado, is enough to cut your head off. I mean, that's enough to cut through bone, through flesh, and skin. A little creepy. This one's still confirmed.
Now, this is a perfect conclusion for us. We have a piece of glass flying at a low tornado speed in the air on its own merit and decapitates our head completely off and cleanly. That shows us right there, confirmed, confirmed, confirmed.
Yep, this all goes to show the danger of flying debris during a tornado. For safety, taking shelter in a storm cellar really is a no-brainer. Adam and Jamie have proved a runny nose will eventually catch up to you.
So what did we learn from that test? We learned that if you're around someone who's infected and you're not expending any energy to keep their germs from getting on you, you're gonna get their germs on you. And for our germaphobes, the situation wasn't much prettier. 2 out of our 3 germaphobes were covered with this stuff. Where does that leave us? Well, we wondered, suppose the person who's spreading the germs is acting more responsibly. Suppose they're trying to keep others from being infected. That's what we're gonna test next. We've set up this whole space again, totally clean. I haven't touched anything here. I will have the same drip rig going on, dripping at the same rate, except I'm going to be trying to keep my germs from spreading to any parts of this table and any of my guests. Let's see how I do.
So the MythBusters will repeat the nasal secretions test.
Hello. Hello. Hello, good to see you.
With 2 vital differences. Adam will do everything he can not to spread his pseudo-snot. And we've got a new set of blissfully unaware test subjects.
But I gotta warn you, I've got a little bit of a cold, so let's do elbow greet. How are you? How are you?
But will modifying his behavior decrease the chances of contamination?
He's not shaking hands, he's bumping elbows.
Jasmine?
Despite the fact that his nose is still dripping at 60 mils per hour, Adam is doing all he can to limit his hand-to-hand contact with his guests.
This is going to be really hard for Adam, even though he knows he's supposed to reduce the amount of spread.
he's going to have a hard time.
And Tori, if you would take this and hand out a sheet to everybody. Dana, if you would pass these pens to your right, and make sure everyone gets a pen. We're gonna play a game called Dictionary.
But as well as avoiding direct contact with his guests, Adam's also avoiding indirect contact by enlisting their help.
Dana, will you hand out the glasses for me, please?
At this point, it looks like he's doing pretty well because the only thing that's actually been passed around person to person has been the paper notes. The glasses, the bottle, even meeting everybody in the beginning didn't involve any kind of contact at all.
And once again, the 30 minutes seems to fly by until it's time to bring in the bouncer.
All right then, so everybody's had some cake, some champagne, you played a couple games, lovely party. Time to call it quits.
Jamie says it's time to go, it's time to go.
Wow, what a buzz.
Right?
That's it.
Dad's home, we have to go.
All right, really a pleasure to see you. Jasmine, elbow, elbow, excellent.
As fond farewells go, the elbow bump is unconventional, but it does prevent Adam from secreting onto his guests.
I love you
Gentle,
guys. Let me
please.
fight on that show.
And with that, the test is over. But has Adam kept his snot to himself?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's see your hands. You're clean. You're clean?
Well, the result is spelled out in no neon light.
Clean. Clean. Good job, Adam.
In stark contrast to the previous test, amazingly, Adam has not infected a single guest.
Now, the first test, Adam was touching every single thing on the table. And as a result, everybody got sick except for Carrie. But on the second test, it was obvious he changed his behavior and he was trying not to touch anything. And as a result of that test, nobody got infected.
I gotta say, that was totally amazing. Just by a simple change of technique, you can prevent everyone at the party from getting sick.
Let's recap. The myth that if you're sick, your nasal secretions will go everywhere.
Confirmed.
And the ability as an innocent bystander for one to avoid those secretions.
Not impossible, but very difficult.
So what have we concluded is the best way to prevent the spread?
Well, if you're sick, you need to take some personal responsibility.
Absolutely right. This has been a public service announcement from Jamie and Adam at MythBusters.
In this episode, struck by lightning.
Where's your tongue? Let's see it.
The MythBusters tempt fate.
This won't hurt you at all.
Feels like I got a barbell stuck in my tongue.
Will body jewelry get you struck by lightning? Testing a medieval tree cannon.
I need somebody with a whip and a drum.
It's a blast from the past. And man versus machine.
Adam, the police officer, said you need to drink more.
In the battle of the breathalyzer. Who are the MythBusters?
Am I missing an eyebrow?
Adam Savage.
I always enjoyed seeing Adam in pain.
Oh! And Jamie Heineman.
Jamie wants big boom.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
Feel kind of sexy.
They don't just tell the myths.
Farewell, cruel world.
They put them to the test.
Come on, please help me up.
Yes, we'll carry you.
Hold on. I got struck by lightning? Yes. How the f did that happen?
It's not.
In August 2003, Matt Thompson was hit by lightning in the hills outside Keystone, Colorado.
A bolt of lightning taken straight in the chest.
It just came out of nowhere.
The direct hit traveled all the way through Matt's body.
I had no clue what happened.
Matt's story was big news. On websites worldwide, the issue was raging.
Matt, you almost died.
Was Matt's metal tongue stud the reason he was struck?
So my tongue ring. I don't know, dude. You might have swallowed it. Let me see. Where's your tongue? Let's see it.
Oh, it's broken off in there, it looks like. Let me see.
Body jewelry attracting lightning strikes? This looks like a job for the MythBusters.
The myth is that wearing a tongue stud increases your chances of being struck by lightning.
So what kind of cockamamie theory is this?
Well, this cockamamie theory says that the lightning bolt is being attracted directly to it.
Like a lightning rod.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds kind of silly.
Being loaded into an ambulance with a fried tongue, you can bet Matt Thompson didn't think it was a silly myth. Still, the boys are skeptical.
It's obvious that jewelry does affect your body if you get struck by lightning, but the question still remains. Does it increase your chances of being struck by lightning?
For the tongue stud lightning test, 2 heads made from Ballistic's gel will be mounted near a lightning generator. One of the heads will be pierced with metal studs. Adam and Jamie want to know which head the charge jumps to.
That'll be fun.
Well, that's definitely why we're doing this.
The first job is to build a rig that will attract lightning. They need something big, metal, and round.
Ah, here we are.
That's them.
What, these?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we're using woks because the round surface of a wok is a perfect thing to test an electrical field around because it doesn't have any point that can gather the electricity to a single point.
7, 8. It's like they knew we were coming.
Imagine that.
Normally, you'd probably put the heads on a spike, but that would not give us an accurate test as to the conductivity of the piercing as it relates to the whole head.
Oh, how the hell am I going to get those out of there?
Back at the workshop, while Jamie grapples with removing the wok handles, Adam is going into reproduction mode.
I am going to take this casting of my head, and it is me, I swear, and I'm going to fill it with some rigid foam so I can cut it in half and turn it into a vacuform mold to make a bunch of ballistic gel heads. This is where things start to happen kind of fast. There's a point at which it gets clear again. There, see? Now it turns dark. Now it's just about to bubble. That's the trick. Now if you look in here, we can watch it. It's gonna glow all the way up. Isn't that amazing? Oh, look at this. Here it comes. All right, so I mixed too much.
Jamie, ahead of schedule, has found time for art.
I don't know what it is, but it's pretty. It's like a big steel tulip.
Adam, meanwhile, has a solid base for his mold.
There is something strangely satisfying about that.
But getting the plastic shell to form is proving to be a headache.
No, come on.
Adam's really hard on my tools. He'll tend to plow through things without thinking.
Every time. I hate this frame. It's ripping my fingers to shreds. A little more comfort in your design. That's all I want.
It'll toughen your fingers up. It's good for you.
My fingers don't need toughening. Here, let's see if it still fits. Ew. No, that doesn't fit. My head's gotten fatter in the intervening years. As if nobody knew that. All right, let's go do another 9.
Jamie is attaching inverted woks to the tops of metal rods. A non-conductive plexiglass spike will protrude above each wok to hold the dummy's head.
It has to be something that's not going to attract electricity on its own in any specific way. So this is a mount for the head, and when the electrical current, when the lightning bolt is attracted to the head, it'll go to wherever it wants to go on the head, not because of the configuration of this.
Adam has finally created 10 head molds. They need more than 2 in case the high voltage strike blows them apart. They'll be filled with Ballistic's gel and will mimic the electrical conductivity of the human head. Smart work. But Adam's about to do something not so bright. To get into the spirit of this myth, he's volunteered to get his own tongue pierced.
Hi, are you Joey?
Yeah, hi.
I'm Adam.
Nice to meet you, Adam.
Jamie.
Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
Good.
And, I'm here to get a tongue piercing.
Well, let's see your tongue. Yeah, we can put some jewelry in there for you.
All right. Have you ever heard any myths about tongue piercings?
No, I've heard some realities about tongue piercings. I don't know about any myths. What do you have in mind?
Well, there's a story going around about a woman in Britain who apparently was struck by lightning, and she said it was because she had a tongue piercing.
Never heard that one.
You never heard that one?
Never heard that one.
You ever had any complaints of anyone struck by lightning?
None of my clients have ever been struck by lightning. So these are some of the basic beads that I have for you to choose from. Probably the most comfortable size to start with is this one right here. If you want to go with something a little fancier, it's possible to wear gemstones for it as well. So if you want to get really flash, you can wear something like that.
What do you think, Jamie? Should I go flash or plain?
I think you should go for maximum conductivity, actually.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Do you have anything shaped like a little, lightning rod or
No
anything?
lightning rods, and we don't have any copper. I think you're going to have to go with the stainless steel.
All right, the stainless steel ball about that size was exactly what I was thinking about.
Okay, that should be great. So why don't you come on in here, have a seat on the dinosaur chair there.
Oh, do I get a lollipop when this is done?
You do get a lollipop when this is done, but only if you earn it.
He's just seen the needle. For once, Adam's at a loss for words.
All right, so, you ready? It's very, very quick and very, very easy. You can set your glasses right there. What I want you to do is swallow one last time. Breathe easy. Give me your tongue. There you go. This won't hurt you at all. I'm not gonna pull on you. Just wanna make sure I got you right where I need you. Piercing's real quick. I'm just getting lined up. Here you go. Give me a breath in and out. You're done. Your jewelry's in. I'm gonna take the clamp off and screw the bead on the bottom, but it won't hurt you. You're absolutely done. Let me just make sure the beads are tight. You can have your tongue back. There you go. You're done.
All right. Woo. That was not so bad. Oh, but now I'm talking all funny. Feels like I got a barbell stuck in my tongue, man. How about that?
Get it back here.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
In August 2003, Matt Thompson was struck by lightning in Colorado.
So my tongue ring.
No, dude.
Was the lightning attracted to his metal tongue piercing?
Oh, it's broken off in there, it looks like.
To test the myth that body jewelry increases your chance of being struck, Adam and Jamie have enlisted the help of Delta Star West. They manufacture industrial-grade electrical machinery.
You still feel nice and cool.
Adam's freshly made gelatin heads are the focal points.
He has to suffer as much as I have.
A metal stud expertly fitted to one dummy's lower lip.
I should have been a surgeon. All right, let's see how it does.
We have this gigantic bank of capacitors, which creates over 1 million volts at something like 1,000 amps. And it's sending electricity across this wire through this electrode, and these heads, which are grounded, will complete the circuit.
Essentially, they're making mini lightning at the flick of a switch. 1 million volts stored in a capacitor will discharge down a wire, jumping to the ground through one of the two heads.
We're hoping to find that it shows a preference to go to one head or the other. And if it shows a preference to go to the one with the barbell, then we'll know that you're more likely to get struck by lightning. If it doesn't, if it goes for this head, then the myth is busted.
Real lightning can be over 100 million volts. It kills about 100 Americans a year. This 1 million volt jolt would still turn you into toast. Everyone's keeping a safe distance.
We're good.
The lightning will discharge into one of the heads. It takes just a fraction of a second. It's hit the head on the right. You can see it in freeze frame. Here it is again on high-speed camera.
Well, it went to the one without the barbell in it.
It did.
We learned a couple of really important things from the first test, and the first thing was that the lightning bolt went to the top of the head and no place else on the electrode, which tells us that that our rig is nicely set up. It's pretty neutral, and we are getting current to go through the head itself and not through the steel. The second most important thing that we learned about this was that the discharge actually went to the head without the piercing. So this is not looking too good right now.
But the testing has just started. In the interests of accuracy, they move each head to the opposite spike.
We're just doing a control by swapping the heads on the rig and making sure that the rig doesn't prefer one direction or the other.
This time it hit the stud head.
Well, one, I think, really important thing that I just saw was, I guess I was focusing in the right place at the right time. I saw the lightning bolt travel down like this, and it went right along this pathway. It did not go to that. So even in the head, if this was an attractant, thing for the lightning bolt, it would have gone there and down or something like that. It didn't. I clearly saw it take a pathway right down to the top of this.
We're good to go on another shot.
So the lightning hit the head, but not the stud.
Same thing.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Interesting that it really doesn't do anything to the gelatin that we can see.
Truly.
So that's 2 strikes to the pierced head, 1 to the control head. Will swapping them back make a difference? It's the pierced head again, but a confusing pattern is emerging. The charge often goes to the piercing side, but it never seems to touch the metal. The MythBusters won't be satisfied until they can see the lightning hit the stud directly.
Jamie, we've now run this a dozen times or more. The heads are working perfectly, the rig is working great, we're getting consistent strikes, always to the top of the head. Not once has the lightning gone right for the stud.
Yeah, all we've got left to do is put a bunch of studs in there, some really big ones maybe, see what happens, see if we can get something to react to them.
Like nuts and bolts and knives and forks?
Yeah.
Adam has apparently read the Hannibal Lecter style guide.
All right, I think that's a pretty good look there, Jamie. What do you think?
Well, maybe more is better.
Let's fire it up.
Okay.
It went to the head with the studs in it.
Still didn't touch the studs. Went right down through the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe even more metal. Of course, if your tongue piercing is this big, lightning is the least of your worries.
I saw it go into the top of the head and go out to the bolt and back in.
It just goes to show, don't put any really big bolts in your mouth during a thunderstorm.
Finally, a test for the mother of all studs.
Well, cheek piercing there.
It's unlikely to catch on at many nightclubs, though it might just help you get in the door. Will it attract lightning? At last, a direct hit.
Well, that knocked the doorknob right out of his face.
The MythBusters are unconvinced that studs attract lightning. While the Zap did seem to prefer the head with the piercing, a lack of consistent direct hits suggests some other unknown factor was involved.
We could have done this 1,000 times and still not gotten that same result. Lightning is just really unpredictable.
That might be the case, Jamie, but we do know that metal does have an effect. depending on how much of it there is and where it is on the body. And we did get a strike right to the doorknob, but come on, who wears a doorknob?
The only thing this myth has shown the guys for sure is that Adam's wild days are over.
Heaven. Oh, God. That was horrible. There we go. My tongue is free.
The MythBusters get medieval. Can they turn a log into a lethal weapon?
Fire in the hole!
This myth is from medieval times, actually, and it involves a Hungarian town called Pakish that was being threatened by their neighbors. So the entire town got together. In one night, they apparently made a cannon out of a tree.
And they put some gunpowder in there, and they shoot off this cannon.
The entire body of the cannon exploded, killing half the townspeople.
And the mayor, in his infinite wisdom, looks up and said, "If we have so many dead, how many left of the enemy can there be?"
That's the earliest known record of spin, I think.
To test this myth, Jamie and Adam will try to build a tree cannon and see if it explodes when fired. To do it like the villagers, they need to drill a hole into a log using medieval-style tools. They'll have to fashion a cannonball and make some medieval gunpowder.
John, have you ever heard of a tree cannon or a cannon made out of a tree?
No, Adam, I frankly have not.
If anyone can help with this myth, John Morris can. He lives safe and very secure in West Virginia with his collection of more than 100 cannons. Wisely or not, he's agreed to show Adam and Jamie the safe way to fire one.
My back hurts just thinking about it. So we'll use a pre-measured charge of powder in aluminum foil. We'll make up a small cartridge.
Cannon Firing 101.
Are we ready to load?
I think we're ready to load. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
John's neighbors have learned to love the sound of cannons in the morning. It's only a blank, but this is still dangerous business.
From now on, it's going to be loaded and nobody gets in front of the muzzle. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. We're going to load. Then we'll take the fuse and hopefully it'll touch the powder inside. Ready to proceed?
You bet.
When you are.
Fire in the hole.
I knew that was going to happen.
You did.
They've seen how it's done. Now it's the guys' turn.
Is it possible to put too much powder in a cannon?
Certainly.
What'll happen?
Well, it will overstress the cannon, and the cannon could blow up. Now, you shouldn't be in front of the piece.
Exploding cannons. Food for thought for two first-time firers.
Fire in the hole.
Excellent.
Wow.
Very good. You're now qualified.
That's very exciting. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
That was really cool.
Tree cannons were used in 14th century England and just 100 years ago in Eastern Europe. To make theirs, Adam and Jamie need a European hardwood log, a big log.
This is a piece of English elm here that we took out. It's a tree that actually died from Dutch elm disease, and this weighs several hundred pounds, this piece here.
If I can do that with it, we can get it on the truck.
Jamie, you're doing such a good job.
Get out of my way. This was done in medieval Hungary. They didn't have power tools, and there would have been a lot of things that would be different about what we're doing.
They learned how differently by examining pictures of a 1,000-year-old toolbox found in Sweden. For authenticity, they want to make similar equipment. Jamie's starting with an axe to strip the log.
Getting a little workout this morning.
Adam's having a workout of his own. He's making a medieval saw out of a forklift pallet.
Now there's some medieval workmanship.
Well, I'm gonna heat this piece of metal up until it gets red hot. Hopefully I'll make something that resembles a spoon drill, which is one of the first drills that they used.
It's the best medieval drill Jamie's made all day. Now there's just one more job before they get started on the barrel. San Francisco has a community arts center that specializes in old-style forging. Instructor Chris Niemer specializes in keeping his cool.
Chris, we need some iron fans around this thing. Okay. We're making a cannon.
But if you don't hear from us again, you'll know why.
We'll know what happened.
The steel bands around the log will help it absorb the blast. They'll be heated in a furnace, then hammered into place.
When we start wrapping this, I think I'm probably going to have one of you two with a hammer just kind of tapping behind me. Test run number 1.
They've got to pull the band tight while it's red hot, then rivet it in place.
That's the ticket.
Oh, that's so close. Oh, it's good.
Rivets.
The band is cooling and shrinking before they can hammer the rivets home.
Somebody else grab this one up here. You got it.
Come on.
Oh,
wait.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
All right.
I got it.
Quenched with water, the band will shrink tighter onto the log. Just 4 more to go.
You know, it's funny how ye old techniques take ye old sweet time to get done.
Medieval techniques take some mastering, but each band is going on easier than the last.
Oh, but the vibration feels really good. Beautiful!
Yeah, good job, guys.
Very nice.
Good job.
Excellent.
It's looking more like a cannon, but there's still no barrel. Will Jamie's medieval drill do the job?
Drill's nice and sharp, and I've flattened this out so that I can grab this like that to crank it.
Remember, according to the myth, the tribe made their cannon overnight. But this is slow work.
We're about ½ an inch in.
I need somebody with a whip and a drum.
They've got to drill through about 5 feet.
You know, just moving more, I guess.
Let's see.
Medieval tools just weren't built with myth-busting in mind.
Based on what I'm seeing here now, I'm thinking it'd probably take a couple of days to get through it. The myth says that overnight they'd be able to drill a cannon, and I would say that is unlikely. I would say that the myth is busted because of that.
They've come too far to stop now. Adam and Jamie resolve to test the rest of this explosive myth, and that means building the cannon their way.
I'm not doing anything that the Packish wouldn't have done if they had had a chainsaw.
While Adam is bowing to the 21st century, Jamie is staying well in the Middle Ages.
I'm making a cannonball out of granite, or a mess.
He plans to hand chisel a perfectly round cannonball. It's precision versus power.
That is a tree cannon.
Jamie hasn't done a bad job himself.
It's so far beyond anybody's experience that we're all like kind of blown away, right? And don't think he didn't know it.
So they've made the tree cannon, made the cannonball. Now they need to make medieval gunpowder. They've called in expert pyrotechnician Jack Morocco to help.
You know, what we need to do here is something a little bit different in mimicking a medieval gunpowder formula.
Jack knows what ingredients existed around the time of the myth, so they can make up a crude gunpowder. But how well will it work? For safety reasons, they'll light the fuse electronically from a distance.
Ready?
Oh, wow.
Nicely done.
I think that's very respectable.
Okay.
I think that'll do.
I think that's going to work quite well, yes.
I personally don't think we'll be able to blow this thing up. I think you could put a stick of dynamite in it and it still might not blow up. Of course we're going to try to blow it up. That's what we do.
Once more, in the name of myth-busting, Jamie and Adam head into the world, armed, dangerous, and set on destruction. It's a normal day out for the MythBusters. They're driving through San Francisco with a medieval tree cannon in the back of their pickup. Their destination? The abandoned runway at the Alameda Naval Base. The cannon is a replica of one built by medieval Hungarian villagers, which, myth has it, blew up when fired. With expert pyrotechnician Jack Morocco, they've made up a load of medieval-style gunpowder.
We don't want to drop this, do we?
No, we definitely don't.
You ready to load some powder there, Jamie?
Yeah, let's do it.
They're starting with 2 3-ounce cartridges of gunpowder.
All right.
The cartridges are forced to the bottom of the barrel, and a hole poked in the side for the fuse.
Ah, we are in the load. Tennis ball?
Okay. Well, did you bring your tennis racket?
I could stand out there with this, you know, and try to get a good hit on it.
The tennis ball will squeeze down on the blast, increasing the pressure in the barrel. An electric igniter is taped into place. They're ready to go.
Okay, standing by.
For safety, the MythBusters are behind Lexan blast screens.
Ready?
Fire in the hole!
3, 2, 1.
Hot set! Ooh.
Wow, it's still going. Is that a flaming tennis ball? I don't think so. That was a good bang.
Yeah.
Did anyone see the ball?
I'm going to take the bicycle out there.
Is that where the paper cup landed?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It seems their tree cannon has quite a serve.
Oh. A little singed.
You found it?
Wow, that looks great.
Doesn't look very much the worse for wear.
No, just lost some fuzz.
Well, the tennis ball went a little more than a football field in length, which for a tennis ball is a lot. And I think that you know, when we put the stone in there, it's really going to take off.
Next up, the real thing, Jamie's hand-carved cannonball.
We're debating whether or not to put a single or a double load, either 3 or 6 ounces of powder behind it.
The extra weight of the cannonball will further compress the blast, increasing the force up the barrel. The guys know the safe way to go is a single 3-ounce load.
You comfortable with 6 ounces, Jack?
Yeah.
All right. Loading the cartridge.
It's double or nothing. Twice the powder, twice the danger.
At this point, no one crosses the front.
And be careful with that, because that's going to roll down there fairly quickly.
Yeah, so I gather.
Shock it.
Jamie's great creation is headed for a great adventure.
Satisfying little thunk.
Do you think we'll be able to find it?
You know, I'm feeling pretty certain that it's going to launch that thing a fair ways, but I don't have a clue how far. Are we ready, Jack?
Fire in the hole.
I don't have a clue where that went.
I didn't see a darn thing. Did you see anything? Wow.
What everyone did see was a remarkably successful tree cannon. They've proved you can make a cannon out of a tree.
It's a long way. Really? Yeah.
But Jamie's cannonball is long gone.
I'm a little bummed out not to find the ball, you know. I put a lot of work into that thing.
It's a rough thing trying to find it. We've got a runway that's 1.25 miles deep. I didn't think we were going to find it, and I don't think it's unreasonable that we didn't find it.
The ball might be gone, but the myth-busting continues. Remember, the cannon in the story is said to have exploded.
Well, we're going to take all the powder we have left, which is about 12 ounces, 14 ounces of powder left. We're going to dump it all in here, see what happens. Remember, children, MythBusters has hired a licensed pyrotechnician to help us blow stuff up. You should never try anything like this unless you have your own television show.
I wish I had my rock back.
This is twice the amount of powder they've tried before. They're jamming everything they can find down the barrel to clog it up and increase the chance of explosion.
You have one other thing you want to add to this, Jamie?
I want to see this thing blow up. You know, it's keeps working. What are you going to do? So I'm going to jam a can of soda down this.
It's a tight fit, maybe too tight.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not good.
Oh, it squirted out of the hole.
The water squirted out of the hole?
Uh-huh.
Oh, whoops.
You could have done something worse, but I can't for the life of me think of what that might have been. Okay, here comes the golf ball. Oh, there's a lot of soda. Oh, yeah, it's definitely been contaminated by the powder.
Their chances of blowing up the cannon seem to have been washed away in a flood of soda. But the MythBusters won't take a setback lying down. Undeterred, they re-rig, calling in another pyrotechnician. He's got a jumbo-sized bag of gunpowder, and he's not afraid to use it.
Well, we put 6 ounces of powder in last time. What are we going to put in this time?
5 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
5 pounds of gunpowder. On a danger scale of 1 to 10, this rate's about 9. Now it's at 10. They're sealing the end with an aluminum plug.
If this doesn't blow up this cannon, I don't know what will.
This is basically going to be a bomb, and there's going to be splinters going everywhere. So it's not a question just of hard hats. It's a question of you have to have something like a shield or an automobile or something like that between you and the cannon.
I'm going to get back about probably 150 feet on the field there, just in case.
The rest of the team is even further back. They're hoping that'll be far enough.
everybody all right? And then, like, the heaviest parts go farther than the fence.
There's a piece of log way back there. Look at that.
Oh my God!
It seems tree cannons can explode with even more force than anyone imagined.
Cannon went away. There's a little black on the ground around where the cannon was, and that's all that's left.
I'd say it's a very efficient way to split wood.
Now we don't have to lug that damn thing around anymore.
My God.
Adam and Jamie have busted a cannon, but proved two myths.
Maybe 80 pounds or something like that.
They've proved you can make a cannon out of a tree, and they've also shown the Hungarian townsfolk could have been wiped out when it exploded. Sometimes myth-busting is dangerous work. One for the road, as they say. But they bit off more than they could chew.
Cheers.
Can they beat the breath test?
This is definitely going to be a strange day.
Here we are at the San Francisco Police Department Crime Lab, and we've got the breath tester, and we're going to get drunk today, I think, and see whether we can get around the breath test.
Well, there's a lot of myths out there that are really kind of strange about all these substances you can use to potentially beat the breath test.
You know, Adam, I don't think any of this stuff is going to work.
I don't think any of things are going to work either, but it's up to us to imbibe and then further imbibe all of these things to show this.
So the idea is to get drunk, then put different products in their mouths to try to fool the breath test machine into giving a lower reading. The San Francisco Police Department generously offered its crime lab for the day. Officer Bruce Gendron will be watching over Adam and Jamie. Adam's drink of choice is scotch. Neat. Jamie's mixing vodka with cranberry juice.
I don't know if I've ever had a drink this early in the day. Nostrovia, Kampai, Prost.
Right there with you, buddy.
In California, you're considered legally intoxicated with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08. Spirits are about 40% alcohol. How many the guys need to reach the limit depends largely on their weight and how fast they drink.
A little bit of food to cut the alcohol. I'm lit. It's like 1 in the afternoon and I'm lit.
Food does slow alcohol's absorption into the bloodstream, but their livers can only metabolize 1 drink an hour, and just 5% of alcohol is expelled through urine. Put simply, their bodies can't keep up.
So I've had 4 drinks, right? Yes, this is number 5. Let's try control.
There you go.
Here we go.
You want to try one?
Yeah, let's try one.
Go ahead. Very good. That's very good. Thank you. He's an 03.
That's an 03?
It's an 03.
Wow. I swear I'm a cheap date.
Adam, the police officer said you need to drink more.
You know, my doctor was also telling me that I'm not getting enough tar, so I need to start smoking again. Make it a double.
The guys have to drink up for science, far more than either would normally imbibe.
So we've had 13 drinks over 3 hours. I know I'm drunk, but I can't even remotely tell that you're drunk. It's kind of annoying. I want to see you like put a lampshade on your head or something.
Sorry, bub.
All right, let's go. I feel totally fine. Allow me to place this on your breath testing machine and I'll be happy to be tested.
You are pretty smelly. That's it. Keep it up. Listen to the music, and that's what we're trying to do, is keep that sound going. Very, very good. That's good. Yeah,
1-1.
1-1.
All right, finally, woo, we're at 1-1. We're over the limit. I'm guessing Jamie goes to 0.9. I think the extreme difference in muscle mass will make Jamie process alcohol a lot more efficiently than I do, apparently.
He's doing fine. You just sit over there and be quiet. It's rough enough having one of you here, but having two.
Of course I'm causing trouble.
Yep, 09.
09, legally drunk.
Legally drunk and illegal behind the wheel. Strangely enough, the first refuge of a driver pulled over in this condition seems to be breath mints.
Right after you get stopped, and we're making it up to the vehicle and can see them rushing around in the car trying to find mints or trying to find anything to put in their mouth.
In America, if it looks like a rose and it smells like a rose, it's a rose. And if you have your certs and your mouth is fresh and you feel fresh, then perhaps you just aren't drunk anymore.
Unfortunately, you are. A roadside sobriety test quickly reveals that.
Okay, now stop. I want you to turn around just on the balls of your feet. With your right index finger, touch your nose. I think you just fell asleep.
40% of American road deaths involve alcohol. Nearly 17,000 people killed each year. To prove a driver was drunk, police usually rely on a breath test.
This man had already had 5 single whiskies, which he took some little time ago.
The breathalyzer was invented back in the 50s, where drinking whiskey often happened while wearing a nice suit.
Right, that's enough. He is up about 0.13.
Breath tests work because alcohol is carried by the blood into the lungs and exhaled. The amount of alcohol on the person's breath is proportional to the amount in their bloodstream. Over the limit, the guys will now try to beat the breath test using products that urban legend has it will confuse the machine. First up, those mints. Will getting rid of the smell get rid of the alcohol?
Ooh. Okay, that's minty.
1-0.
1-0. Fat lot of good that did me.
He's still blowing over 08. Maybe something with a stronger smell.
Your best bet is probably to hold your nose, literally, and just take a big bite out of this onion.
My eyes are watering here. Let's try and see if you were able to fool us. Nice and steady. Keep going. Keep going. That's good. That's good. Jamie, that was an 08. The onion didn't do anything.
Some breath testing machines act like a fuel cell. The more alcohol blown in, the higher the electrical current produced. That could well have sparked the myth keeping a battery in your mouth would beat the test.
Stuck on the battery now?
You get the battery.
Yeah, I'm letting you off easy, baby.
Being able to put a battery in your mouth and keeping it there without me knowing that it's there would be very, very difficult.
I would agree with him. It would be very difficult to talk with a battery in my mouth.
I'd say you're charged. It's a 1-0.
Another kind of tester relies on a chemical reaction. Perhaps throwing a little extra copper into the mix will fool it.
You ready? Nice, steady blow. That's it. Very good, thank you. 0.09. Pennies don't work.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
A third kind of machine uses infrared light to find alcohol molecules. Adam's going to throw in some denture cream, too.
Okay.
Adam, you did a great
Oh, that was nothing, baby.
.11.
0.11. So denture cream, a no-go.
Another pseudo-scientific mythology suggests hyperventilating might cleanse the lungs of alcohol for just long enough to pass.
All right. 1-1.
That doesn't work either. In fact, the myths are running dry. One last contender, mouthwash.
One wonders where you do this in a car while the police are like coming around to your window, but nonetheless, we'll try it.
Just nice and steady again.
0.43.
4.3.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, 0.43. Yeah, that's way gone.
Something's causing a false reading. A little higher at 0.5 is lethal. To iron out glitches like that, police always test you twice.
Very good. 1-3.
So it would appear that mouthwash doesn't work at all. I mean, even if they got two readings that were grossly out of sync, all they do is take your blood test, and your blood test would tell them exactly how much alcohol you have in your system. It would seem that nothing works.
On MythBusters, they do what it takes. 13 drinks, a mouthful of onion, and batteries, and pennies, and denture cream. It appears to be a sobering warning for any potential drunk driver.
Using the machine, you will be busted.
So what do you think? Is this myth busted?
I'd say it's pretty fairly busted.
Pretty fairly busted. I'd say it's definitively busted. You can't beat the breath test.